Hello and welcome to this webinar on cloud migration. Today we will be talking about what are the key strategies that you should use when doing a cloud migration and what things to avoid to making it an extremely costly operation which sometimes business want to just forego. And I would like to also highlight that what is the key demand and why you should do cloud migration right now, specifically such a time we are in economic downturn. And there are some compelling points from operation efficiency to massive cost saving, which could give you a lot of like it will unleash a lot of cash from your balance sheet that you can use for otherwise. Because a lot of legacy applications that we are running, they are sitting, of course they are generating revenue, but they are eating a lot of cash of your organization. And having a right cloud migration strategy and execution can unleash those cash sitting there, and you can utilize for some other things. So without further ado, I'll start with a quick introduction about what we do. So beCloudReady, we are basically based in Toronto and founded in 2015. We do have AI and cloud product, and we do consulting as well as workforce training to large and medium sized in corporation, also a lot of B2C. These are list of some of our clients, and these are current, existing, and past engagement we had. And these are our public cloud provider partners. We are partnered with AWS, Azure, Cloudera, and DigitalOcean. So the leadership team includes CEO and CTO myself, and we have a chief data scientist who engage pretty much head the whole AI division, where we have on the line two products. One is a forecasting solution, which is specifically designed. So far, we have done with a lot of supply chain management system. We have Samian as our solution architect. He has like 20 plus years of experience when it comes to fintech. And we have very talented data scientists and developers. And we also have team of senior software developers, data engineers, DevOps engineers to support all our effort across different business lines. So as I already mentioned, the core strengths are AI and cloud solution, which is, as I said, it is a forecasting solution specifically designed for supply chain. And we got a lot of attention from different purchasing managers, material and also people are using SAP in order to see how they can incorporate our AI-based forecasting solution to better forecast their upcoming inventory. And we are right now, because we are going through a very wild fluctuation of commodity prices, and this time you need AI on your side. Cloud migration, we do a lot of cloud migration from legacy to public cloud, or it could be a brand new cloud migration. We have experience in doing a data migration, like big data cloud migration, such as Hadoop based application to migrate to completely to AWS, and implementation consulting and workforce training. Current and past engagement, as I said, forecasting solution for Canadian automaker, large Hadoop cluster implementation, big data design pipeline implemented for a Boston-based company, and cloud migration on-prem for legacy to cloud. Workforce training is a pretty exhaustive list of that we do training. For example, I have divided into different categories, like we have Python based training. And of course, when it comes to Python, you can do anything with Python. So we have segregated in a data analyst, data science, software developer, QA automation, solution, Selenium, UFT, AML, DevOps, AWS, Azure, Kubernetes, analytics, which is Oracle SQL, Tableau, data engineering, a traditional one like ETL base, and also with the modern data engineering like Spark. And of course, we have Java full stack, which is a very popular course among many our customers. So let's talk about cloud migration. So like a journey to cloud, why someone who should go for a cloud at this point, and specifically at this point, you'll say, hey man, why you're giving me a new kind of expense when you're already dealing with a loss of revenue? But my point is that this is the time to actually invest in this one, and which will give you sometimes, maybe in a 12 to 14 weeks, you can actually unleash a lot of cash that you're sitting. And I'll come to that, how you'll unleash that cash. So first thing about is that higher agility. The moment you're talking about cloud, you're talking about less bureaucracy in getting access to a resource. You get a fast resource, speed to innovation, because the moment you have a more resources quickly available and they are perishable, you can use and throw it as and when you go. So you don't have that corporate cholesterol that you're sitting around, and which slows down everything that you want to do that. And this point of time, you want to implement change and push the changes fast to the market than ever before. This is why you have a speed of innovation. And of course, lower IT costs. I mean, I don't know how many times I can emphasize that the IT cost is just dramatically less. I just did a couple of example on this, just put on AWS website. They have their own very detailed um, cost calculation for cloud. I think 50 server on an app DB server Mac, unbelievable. Agility and productivity. So first thing is that reduce red tapes around IT operations. The first, right? If you need something, of course you need approval, and all those things are still needed. But the key is that because everything is fully programmable, so with the API driven development, you can actually do even your approval process completely automated rather than actually sending email back and forth and waiting for the approval. So in that, and you can have a data driven development. Check that okay, this automatically do the approval, complete human intervention, because back resources which just increase the productivity. And if anybody has worked in IT industry or any enterprise, you know about the corporate cholesterol I'm talking about. Taking a resource, things done could take so much time, of course, because of complexity of business operation. But what I'm saying that you cannot reduce the complexity on the business side, but what you can do is you can reduce the complexity on the side that you started to begin with. Basically, why you have computer system, why you have IT system, to solve your business problem. And now IT itself has become a problem, and that is a big bottleneck for business, because you hired someone to solve your problem and then you realize that person itself is a problem. So here we need to get rid of complete problem from the IT side so that you can focus on business. This is the example I was talking about, like dramatic cost reduction, like over 61% moving on infrastructure to, this is the example of AWS. And similar example we can do with Azure and DigitalOcean, and depending upon. So whenever we do with any of a client, we always put a case based on the study that we do. Like that's what we say, around 12 week of study, and we'll assess your environment and infrastructure, and based on that we'll give you a costing on each and every cloud. And then you can make your decision. Like pretty much every cloud gives more or less similar services, and you can see the cost and how it goes, the forecasted cost for 3 to 6 years. And then you see the cost. So if you can see here, the cost is a massive. You can see the storage cost is reduced, server cost is gone, and you can see there is a little bit uptick on the IT labor, because in order to do the migration, you will have to hire some people in order to do that with that expertise. That is add to the IT labor cost, but which is nothing compared to the server cost. So overall, you're talking about, if I'm talking about, say, $1 million project, you are saving almost 600K. That is like a ballpark figure, and which is quite significant. And this is when I was saying that if you're talking about unleashing cash from the existing balance sheet, this is the one of the easiest, I would say, low hanging fruit. The cash is just sitting there. You just have to pick it up. Another thing I would like to emphasize, the freedom. You get freedom from cost, software licensing. This is another thing, because a lot of time in the legacy application you are running and you don't even know that you need or not, but you are paying the license months after months, year after year, and sometimes you don't even know they have expired. And in that kind of scenario, you have running a lot of risk of application which is not being supported, or which may not be, you may not find a developer to do that. And having everything on cloud, what makes it that everything is everything is licensed. In that, it is all in SaaS model. So you don't have to worry about renewing a license. The cost of software is embedded into the infrastructure cost. So you pay only one bill and that's it. And this one I was talking about the cost saving, it didn't even include the software licenses. In that many cases in SaaS software, so it is all combined. So you can further reduce the cost. And another thing is that because when you do the cloud migration, many times you realize that these legacy applications, they just cannot be upgraded or anything. So this is the time I will say this is the most complex thing. You have to get rid of the legacy application, move to the new one, because legacy application, even though they work, the only challenge is that it is extremely hard to modify. So delay in delivery, no more delay in delivery. And last but not the important, not everybody's IT team or IT engineering team is as good as Netflix. You have to always understand. So you cannot have that top-notch skill all the time in your organization. If you don't have, you can actually offshore this or outsource this task to someone who already has. So if you're talking about going with the AWS, Microsoft, or DigitalOcean, or any leading cloud provider like GCP also, you already have the best in class engineers looking after your infrastructure. So high availability is guaranteed by multitude of times than whatever your current staff can do that. And you get the agility and the availability of real Silicon Valley top-notch companies. This is a quick migration chart I made from working with different clients. So this is a pretty easy, quick pick. And of course, it's when I say easy, I'm not saying the migration will be easy, at least to understand this, the mapping could be easy. So if you are running an AIX server, you can easily to migrate to Linux. AIX, you basically, the moment you Linux, you immediately get rid of complete licensing costs. So licensing costs become zero, whatever you pay for your resources. DB2, again, you go to PG-SQL, licensing cost gone. Apache MQ, this is, I will say, kind of a legacy. So you can move to Apache Kafka or any kind of Solace pops up. There are a lot of pops up kind of infrastructure coming around. Hadoop, if you have, of course, some people may call it legacy or not. But if you have Hadoop and maybe you are not getting the right amount of money out of it, there is a separate maybe webinar we'll have around to talking about how you can optimize your Hadoop infrastructure if you move to, say, a cloud-based infrastructure or maybe EMR. Because in Hadoop, whether you are not running the batch job or not, you are running that giant hardware 24/7. And believe me, not all organizations need that server to be running 24/7. Some organizations maybe need for maybe 10 hours in 24 hours. Some organization maybe need 20 hours. I'm just giving a number. But in that case, in these kind of, if you're sitting on an EMR, you can actually switch it off. You run your Elastic MapReduce job. When the job is done, that's it. You're paying only for the time of execution. You're not paying for sitting hardware. It's as simple as that. If you want to get an elephant ride, do you really need to buy elephant, or you can just rent elephant from someone and just take a ride and come back? So same thing. If you want to have a big data, you don't need to have a Hadoop on your own premises. And a lot of applications which are being timed out. I think IBM Netezza, IBM already said they are going end of life cycles. So a lot of people are migrating to Snowflake. Teradata, you can either move to Snowflake or GCP. There are a lot of options available. And so journey, again, one thing I want to emphasize, the journey needs to be carefully planned, because this journey could be complex, expensive, and disruptive. Complex in a way says the application that I just mentioned, these are pretty complex application and you need expertise to do that. Second thing, if you don't plan it right, it could be extremely expensive. Say, for example, some large, or maybe anybody comes, they have okay, they give you estimate of 1 year of full cloud migration. But because of some bad planning or maybe some misunderstanding, the expense can go up. It can become from 1 year to become 2 years. So you have to plan very carefully. And it is disruptive in a way that it will disrupt your existing organization IT hierarchy. A lot of people, a lot of roles will become redundant, and a lot of new roles will be created. So you can see overall IT labor cost goes up a little bit. A lot of people think because of cloud migration, you may have to reduce the staff. It's not like that. You have to reduce the staff. Probably you have to reskill some of the staff and recalibrate it. And of course, some of the roles may get completely redundant, and that is a different discussion, but it will be disruptive. And for that case, the leadership team has to be very focused and have the exact plan on that, and we help with that also as well. So again, the most important, why choose us, why beCloudReady? First is that we will be extremely focused. When we take something, we do one at a time, and we just heavily focus on that particular client. Flexibility, because we are not a very large organization, we are very much flexible to the need of the client. And third one, result oriented, because we are extremely focused, we will deliver result. We will sit with a, that we have a 12-week, we call it a assessment program with your team. So why we put 12 weeks? Because it actually takes that much of time to just to understand what you have right now, and what you can move, what you cannot move, what do you probably have to re-engineer. So those are all these factors. We do a 12 weeks of puck, and at the fraction of cost, because as I said, we are not really large organization. We don't have a lot, too many layers to basically to feed into the chain. So pretty much you get a little bit, I mean, pretty much every developer that you see, the top experienced developer, they work rightly onto that. So that's how, because we are able to reduce all the costs, extra layer of cost, so we are extremely cost efficient, and almost all cases we are at the fraction of the cost that you can pay for any large IT vendor out there. So I think that's what for me. And yeah, any questions? So yeah, we'll wait for a few minutes. So yeah, Nicholas, I think he got some questions. Do you have experience? Yes, yes. Question is, do you have experience for uh, what public cloud? So we are currently, we have 4 certified developers for AWS, and 1 certification for Oracle. And we are right now working for Azure and GCP certification. But certification is just a kind of a badge, but in terms of expertise is concerned, we are pretty much comfortable across all the cloud platform. And yeah, question around DB2 versus PG. So yeah, DB2 versus PG SQL, the migration chart that I'm showing, it is actually based on the whatever we have done in past with other client and what they have asked. So one of the client, it was I think a New Jersey based client, they wanted DB2 to is PG SQL, and it went pretty well. And specifically with PG SQL 12 and above, you have a lot of nice features like pretty much you can have partitioning. It's like amazing features have been added that makes it very compelling thing for if you want to move to PG SQL. Because plus, and a lot of time people want to have PG SQL install on them by themselves, because remember, you can also have a PG SQL as a SaaS. You can have a like AWS RDS PG SQL, in that they manage everything. Another case, if you have a really different kind of custom setup, you can actually have a bunch of EC2 and install PG SQL on that. That is also another strategy. A lot of people do that, and it's completely up to the user. Similar ways to the message queue. Messaging queue, the previous generation message queue was mostly designed towards, having a single channel kind of message queue. Everybody's listening from that one. And with the evolution of Apache Kafka and this kind of pub sub architecture, which is becoming extremely popular with distributed computing, the beauty of this is it is horizontal scalable. You don't have to basically, if a consumer is published a message right now, you don't have to consume it right away. So it goes back to the philosophy of, if you compare with Amazon SQS versus SNS and Kinesis. SQS was, I think, one of the first AWS services launched around 10 years ago. And now everybody's going, if someone is going for an Amazon shop, they are going for Kinesis. Reason is simple, that the architecture has changed, it has evolved, and it is much more better considering current infrastructure situation, and how cheap the hardware is, how resources are easy, how you can have programmatic access to everything. So the whole idea of moving from this stack to another stack is that you make everything programmable. The goal is that you do not need to have a admin kind of setup where someone has to go and click 20 buttons to get something done. The goal is that to have a completely API based development, so that you can completely remove all middleman kind of activity to increase your productivity. I hope that answered your question. And 12 weeks. And the costing about that, yeah. So the costing is pretty much, it completely depends upon completely use case. So I think if you are interested in that, maybe we can set up another discussion with our team, and then we can come along, like what is the scope. First of all, like 12 weeks is so basically we need to first define the scope of it, and then we start executing, and during that time we will discuss the costing on that. Okay, if we have no more question, I think thank you everyone for it, and have a great day. And I'll send you the link of this recording. Thank you so much. Bye.